Demonstrators have clashed with police on the streets of Athens and Madrid in an upsurge of popular anger and new austerity measures being imposed on two of the Eurozone's most vulnerable economies. In some of the most violent confrontations on Wednesday, Greek police fired tear gas at hooded rioters, hurling petrol bombs at thousands, joined the country's biggest protest in more than a year. The unrest erupted after nearly 70,000 people marched to the Greek parliament chanting EU, IMF out on the day of general strike against further cuts demanded by foreign lenders. "We can't take it anymore. We are bleeding. We can't raise our children like this," said Dina Koku, a 54-year-old teacher and mother of four who lives on €1,000 or $1,250 a month. In Madrid, Prime Minister Mariano Rajoy faced violence on the streets of the capital on Tuesday and growing talk of secession in Catalonia as he moves cautiously closer to asking Europe for a bailout, aware that such an action has cost other European leaders their job. In public, Rajoy has been resisting calls to move quickly to request assistance, but behind the scenes he is putting together the pieces to meet the stringent conditions that will accompany rescue funds. Rajoy presents a tough 2013 budget on Thursday, aiming to send a message that Spain is doing its deficit-cutting homework despite a recession and 25% unemployment. Spain appears on course to miss its public deficit target of 6.3% of gross domestic product this year, and the central bank said the economy continued to contract sharply in the third quarter. Rajoy is facing intense pressure from Eurozone policymakers to take tougher measures, particularly on freezing pensions. On Friday, Moody's will publish its latest review of Spain's credit rating, possibly downgrading the country's debt to junk status. On the same day, an independent audit of Spain's bank will reveal how much money Madrid will need from a €100 billion or $130 billion aid package that Europe has already approved for the banks. Obviously, Spain is in big trouble and they are on the verge of being bought by foreigners. King James, Proverbs 22:7. The rich rules over the poor, and the borrower is a servant to the lender. Spain will have to give up some of its power, its rights, its sovereignty to the lender. We see this scenario happening in several different countries in Europe. I hope you all are seeing the level of control that is being imposed by a few individuals over many. The United States has a huge deficit and a very low GDP. What's stopping us from becoming another Spain? The answer is the dollar. As long as the U.S. has the world's reserve currency, we might experience inflation and perhaps hyperinflation. But we will be able to kick the can down the road for quite some time until that dreadful day when the world no longer needs our currency to trade among themselves. When that day comes, I am sad to say that our fall will be like no other in history. What could be the cause of such a thing? Answer: a major war involving many key and influential nations taking opposite sides. A war that changes alliances and trade relations, minimizing the importance and need for an international currency as relationships are dissolved. As countries become more self-reliant and sufficient and less globalized because of conflict, have you ever stopped to think how the supplies in the U.S. will be affected if the U.S. and China relations go south? Have you ever thought about how the dollar would be affected if this happened? Yet tensions are rising between these two superpowers, both of which economies will be destroyed as a result of such a confrontation. There are several wars and rumors of wars of which both of these countries take opposing sides. If China stops supplying the U.S. financially with loans and supplies, we will see inflation, shortages, and rationing like never before. This could be the time that technology is imposed to keep track of the buying and selling, and could be the time that no man will be able to buy or sell unless they are equipped with this technology. During the Great Depression, it was stamps. It is very likely that it will be stamps again, but this time the stamp will probably be electronic and placed on your person. Our country's leaders, and so has the people, has fallen in love with its money. The love of money is the root of all evil. Evil abodes and reaping draws nigh. We as individuals must accept and get to know the Savior. Do it now. Thanks for watching. Peace and love.